Imagine stepping into a room where the walls themselves seem alive with captured sunlight. Panels of pure amber, carved with intricate floral designs, mythical scenes, and cherubs, backed by mirrors and shimmering gold leaf. Candlelight dances across the surface, turning the entire chamber into a warm, golden glow that feels almost otherworldly. Over 6 tons of fossilized resin from the Baltic Sea, inlaid with jewels, mosaics depicting the 5 senses, and flanked by gilded columns. Visitors in the 18th and 19th centuries called it the 8th wonder of the world. This was the Amber Room. For over 2 centuries, it stood in Russia's Catherine Palace, a symbol of alliance between empires, a marvel of Baroque artistry. Then, in the summer of 1941, Adolf Hitler's armies swept into the Soviet Union. Within 36 hours, Nazi soldiers tore it down, packed it into 27 wooden crates, and shipped it west. It was briefly displayed in Königsberg Castle. And then, it disappeared, completely. No trace, no recovery. One of the greatest art treasures in human history, vanished forever. Today, a flawless reconstruction stands in its place, built over 24 years at a cost of millions. But the original? Still missing. This is its story of genius, greed, war, and one of the most enduring mysteries of the 20th century. Our story begins not in Russia, but in Prussia, the rising German kingdom, in the year 1701. King Frederick I of Prussia wanted something to rival the opulence of France's Palace of Versailles. He commissioned a private chamber for his wife, Sophia Charlotte, at Charlottenburg Palace in Berlin. The court architect and sculptor Andreas Schlüter designed it. But the real magic came from amber. Amber wasn't just pretty stone, it was fossilized tree resin from ancient pine forests that once covered the Baltic shores. Prussia controlled the richest deposits, special laws protected it. Danish master craftsman Gottfried Wolfram, joined later by Ernst Schacht and Gottfried Thurau from Danzig, modern Gansk, began carving and assembling panels. They used over 450 kilograms of amber at first, eventually 6 tons, backing each piece with gold leaf, adding mirrors, gemstones, and carved reliefs of angels, children, and floral motifs. Work dragged on for over a decade. By 1712, the panels were temporarily installed in Berlin City Palace, but the room was never finished there. Frederick I died in 1713. His son, Frederick William I, known as the Soldier King, inherited the unfinished masterpiece. Then came a stroke of diplomatic genius. In 1716, Tsar Peter the Great of Russia visited Berlin. Peter, the modernizer who dragged Russia into Europe, was awestruck by the glowing amber panels. Frederick William I saw an opportunity. Russia and Prussia were natural allies against Sweden, which controlled much of the Baltic. So the Prussian king made the ultimate gift, the entire Amber Room, crated up in 18 large boxes and shipped to St. Petersburg. Peter the Great wrote that he was delighted beyond words. He initially placed the panels in the Winter Palace as part of his growing European art collection. But the room was still incomplete, just raw panels waiting for their final home. Fast forward to Empress Elizabeth, Peter's daughter, who ruled from 1741. In 1755, she ordered the Amber Room moved to the newly expanded Catherine Palace at Tsarskoye Selo, just outside St. Petersburg. Italian Baroque architect Bartolomeo Francesco Rastrelli was tasked with making it fit a much larger hall, nearly 3 times the original size. Rastrelli's genius transformed it. He added mirrored pilasters, a richly gilded cornice, painted imitation amber panels above the real ones, and more amber sourced from Frederick II of Prussia. Catherine the Great later ordered 8 new panels in 1763. By 1770, the room measured about 180 square feet, contained over 6 tons of amber, and featured Florentine stone mosaics representing the 5 human senses, amber-coated furniture, and a parquet floor made from 12 different woods. The effect was hypnotic. Candles and sunlight made the walls appear to breathe and glow. Russian royalty used it for private meditation, Elizabeth, intimate gatherings, Catherine the Great, and even as a trophy room, Alexander II. who added a silver miniature of Frederick the Great's equestrian statue. Foreign dignitaries were left speechless. One 19th-century visitor wrote, "It is as if the sun itself had been captured and carved into walls." Another called it the eighth wonder of the world, a title that stuck. In today's money, experts estimate its value at between $142 million and over $500 million. After the 1917 Russian Revolution, the Catherine Palace became a state museum. The Amber Room remained untouched until the darkest chapter in its history. For 170 years, the Amber Room lived in splendor. Black and white photos from the early 20th century, the only known color image dates to 1917, show its breathtaking detail, every panel unique, every carving telling a story. Palace curators maintained it meticulously. The amber was delicate, sensitive to temperature and humidity. It symbolized more than beauty. It was living proof of the alliance between Prussia and Russia that helped reshape Europe. Peter the Great used the gift to strengthen ties that would later help defeat Sweden in the Great Northern War. But by the 1930s, storm clouds gathered. Nazi Germany rose under Hitler, who obsessed over German art and looted treasures for his planned Führer Museum. The Amber Room, created in Prussia by German and Danish masters, was listed in the secret Kümmel report of artworks Nazi officials believed rightfully belonged to Germany. In the Soviet Union, curators grew nervous. Chief curator Anatoly Kuchumov knew war was coming. June 22, 1941, Hitler launches Operation Barbarossa, the largest invasion in history. 3 million German soldiers pour into the Soviet Union. Army Group North races toward Leningrad, St. Petersburg. By September, German forces reach Pushkin and the Catherine Palace. Curators have just days. They try desperately to disassemble the Amber Room, but the amber, aged and brittle after 2 centuries, crumbles at the slightest touch. In panic, they cover the entire room with ordinary wallpaper, a pathetic disguise. It doesn't fool anyone. A special detachment from Army Group North, accompanied by 2 German art experts, arrives. They discover the hidden panels within minutes. Working frantically, they dismantle the entire room in just 36 hours. Every panel, every mosaic, every gilded element is carefully packed into 27 heavy wooden crates. The crates are loaded onto rail cars and shipped west, back to the room's spiritual home, Königsberg, the historic capital of East Prussia, today Kaliningrad, Russia. The Nazis proudly announce the return of German art. They view the Amber Room as rightfully theirs, created by German hands, gifted away, now reclaimed. October 14, 1941, the 27 crates arrive in Königsberg. The room is reassembled inside Königsberg Castle, the ancient seat of the Teutonic Knights. Museum director Alfred Rode, an amber expert himself, personally oversees the installation. For the next 2 years, the Amber Room is open to the public. A November 1941 newspaper in Königsberg boasts of the Bernsteinzimmer on display. Rode studies every panel, documenting its history. Visitors marvel once again. But the tide of war is turning. By 1943, Allied bombers target Königsberg. In late 1993 or early 1944, Rode dismantles the room again and stores the crates in the castle's cellars for protection. August 1944, Royal Air Force bombs Königsberg heavily. The castle is damaged. Then, in January 1945, Hitler orders all looted art moved deeper into Germany. But local Nazi Gauleiter Erich Koch abandons his post. General Otto Lasch is left to defend the city. The last confirmed sighting of the crates comes around January 12, 1945, reportedly seen by a German museum official. April 9, 1945, the Red Army captures Königsberg after brutal fighting. The castle is shelled, then burns. Soviet troops find only ruins. A Soviet investigation team led by Professor Alexander Brusov searches the rubble in May 1945. They conclude the Amber Room was destroyed, either in the 1944 bombing or the final fires and shelling between April 9 to 11, 1945. Italian stone mosaics from the room are later found in the debris, supporting the destruction theory. The trail goes cold. The greatest art theft of World War II is complete, and the treasure has vanished. The Soviet Union never gave up. Despite Brusov's report, searches continued for decades, perhaps to shift blame or because Stalin refused to accept the loss. In 1968, Leonid Brezhnev ordered the ruins of Königsberg Castle bulldozed, destroying any remaining clues. Over the years, hundreds of leads emerged. Eyewitnesses claimed the crates were loaded onto the German liner Wilhelm Gustloff, sunk by a Soviet submarine in January 1945 with 9,000 refugees aboard. Divers have explored the wreck repeatedly. Nothing. In 2020, Polish divers found the wreck of the SS Karlsruhe, which left Königsberg in April 1945 carrying crates. Inside, military vehicles and personal belongings. No amber. 1998 claims pointed to a silver mine in Germany or a lagoon in Lithuania, both empty. A bunker in Mamerki, Poland? Nothing. One wild theory: Stalin had a fake amber room built, the Nazis stole the replica. No evidence. The only confirmed fragment: in 1997, German detectives raided a lawyer's office in Bremen after a tip about a black market sale. They recovered one Florentine stone mosaic panel stolen from the room. It belonged to the son of a German soldier who died in 1945. The panel was returned to Russia and helped the reconstruction. Then there's the so-called Amber Room curse, eerie lore. Alfred Rode and his wife died of typhus while under KGB questioning. A Soviet intelligence officer died in a car crash after talking to journalists. Treasure hunter Georg Stein was murdered in a Bavarian forest in 1987. Coincidence or something darker? Modern investigations, including a 2004 book by British journalists Catherine Scott Clark and Adrian Levy, analysed archives and concluded the room almost certainly burned in the final days of the battle for Königsberg. Amber melts at relatively low temperatures, 280 degrees. Fires would have destroyed it completely. Yet treasure hunters still search. Kaliningrad locals whisper of hidden panels in cellars. The mystery endures. In 1979, the Soviet government decided if the original was lost, they would rebuild it exactly. Using pre-war black and white photos, one precious color slide of a corner, surviving drawings, the returned mosaic, and a signed amber chest by Gottfried Thurau. 40 Russian and German craftsmen went to work. Amber carving was a dying art. They relearned it. They matched 350 shades of Baltic amber. On May 31, 2003, the 300th anniversary of St. Petersburg, Russian President Vladimir Putin and German Chancellor Gerhard Schroeder officially opened the reconstructed Amber Room at the Catherine Palace. It glows exactly as the original did, breathtaking, golden, alive. A smaller miniature version exists in Kleinmachnow, Germany, made from East Prussian amber. Today, millions visit the reconstruction every year. It stands as a symbol of reconciliation between Russia and Germany, the same spirit in which the room was originally gifted. The original Amber Room, the true Eighth Wonder, remains lost. Perhaps it was destroyed in the flames of Königsberg. Perhaps a few panels still lie hidden somewhere in a forgotten bunker, a sunken ship, or a sealed mine. Or perhaps the Nazis succeeded in their greatest theft, and the secret died with them. Whatever the truth, the story of the Amber Room is more than a tale of art and war. It is a story of human ambition, the ambition to create beauty that transcends time, the ambition to steal it, and the ambition to preserve it for future generations. The reconstruction reminds us what was lost. The empty space in history reminds us what we may never recover. Some treasures are too precious to disappear forever. Others simply do. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's greatest mysteries, hit like, subscribe, and comment below. Where do you think the Amber Room really is? Until next time, keep searching for wonder in the world.